And I'm very happy to be invited to this event and by Joby for such a great cause and to talk about something that we in our company we feel very passionate about when it comes to the environment and the plastic problem that we're all seeing, and especially because we believe that we have a really good viable solution for this problem. My background is I'm 36 years of age. I'm a father of two small girls. I've been living in Thailand now for the last about 12 years. My background is mainly in hospitality and real estate developments. And my partners and I, we've been in the real estate business in Thailand for about 15 years. And about 2 years ago, we started to investigate more about the plastic problem and the solutions for it. And we were extremely fortunate to meet with a professor and two doctors from Thailand's oldest university called the Chulalongkorn University. And these gentlemen, they had been investigating and researching a system called pyrolysis process for about 15 years. And in the pyrolysis process, the plastic is heated. So we can convert plastic waste back into a form of petroleum. So normally when you manufacture plastic, you would take the crude oil from Middle East or wherever it would come, and you would process it to become petroleum. And from petroleum you can then refine it to become plastics or different kind of fuels. So in our process what we're doing is we're taking the plastic in its current form and moving it one step back into the petroleum state. And this process is 100% environmentally friendly. There's no emissions, there's no gases, there's no or even kerosene for the airplanes. And because of the plastic that was initially created, the oil was cleaned very thoroughly before it became in a form of plastic. So when we actually convert this plastic oil into diesel, for example, it is much more environmentally friendly and has a smaller carbon print than a normal diesel would be if you would just go and buy it from a gas station. So this pyrolysis technology has been around for a few years, and for example in China they have been actually burning plastic in a similar form, but the system they've been using has been what we call an open model, which means that they have a chamber and they put in car tires or whatever plastic they would do, and then they would burn it, and once they open the chamber all these toxins come out. So the professor and the doctors in Thailand developed and researched further this technology and were able to make a fully enclosed system, which means that the chamber is never opened. And what happens is that by doing this there's only actually a little bit of smoke coming from the heating of the generators, which is coming from burning of the wood, same as you would do a fireplace in a camp while you're camping, for example. So this was the process, and for the last about 4 years we have operated a production unit in Thailand close by Bangkok, where we are actually converting 20,000 kilos of plastic waste into 10,000 liters of diesel every day. And the client who is currently buying this is actually the largest bus company in Bangkok, which is using this fuel to drive around their buses. So now what we've been doing is we've been pushing this forward, and we've been looking to expand these production units into a chain of production units across Thailand and Southeast Asia. And this is something that we are currently here to talk about also with the big oil companies who are at the moment looking for different ways to manage the waste, and obviously then to become more ecological in terms of their production. About 4 years, so we've been producing this. Now, I'm sure that Joby and you guys are very aware of the existing plastic problem that there is globally. and the situation that happened with China last year, when basically there was actually an article which was a blog post from Richard Branson. It wasn't actually written by him, but it was a blog that he posted in the Virgin website, which talked about these recycling operations we've been all doing, especially here in Europe, over the last 20 years. And we're also proud about, for example, back in Finland, we're very proud that we're recycling all these things. And if you've been following the news, China had tried different ways of recycling this plastic. They tried to reuse it and so on and so on. They tried to burn it, creating a lot of environmental problems. And worst case was they actually started dumping it into the oceans. And that's why we have a problem where China, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, for example, are the biggest polluters of plastic waste into the oceans right now. So last year, China announced that they are no longer taking in other people's garbage. And from the beginning of January, they are no longer accepting plastic waste. And now we're seeing all over Europe, we're seeing piles and piles and piles of containers full of garbage, plastic garbage, just stocking up and without any place then to send it. So this is a huge problem. That's why governments are waking up right now and trying to find different solutions. This morning I was visiting the environmental minister of Finland to talk about doing a project using this technology from Thailand and doing a plant like this here in Europe. And it seems that the European Union and the other countries are really pushing forward for this. So these are the developments I think are very good for the environment and for this problem that you're all seeing. Now, I'm sorry that I couldn't hear all your great discussions. I would have loved to hear what kind of ideas and things that you guys have and what kind of actions and operations are already going on here in England. And that would be great to learn more. So I don't know how is the schedule after this event. It would be great to maybe just hear some of your thoughts.
We've got the room till about 8 o'clock, and then we can chat upstairs and we can really delve into helping people.
That's great.
With other solutions and stuff like that as well.
I mean, for example, if I just give you a few examples of what's happening in Thailand specifically. I mean, we have a country that has 70 million people that are using in average about 70 billion plastic bags a year. I mean, that's a lot. And I don't know if how many of you have been to Thailand? Have you been there? Okay, a few. I mean, the funny thing is that if you go to a 7-Eleven on a corner and you buy something small, you buy a lip balm, for example, they'll wrap it in for you for 2 plastic bags. And the plastic bags are such a bad quality that once you get to your home, there's no second usage for them. Half of them are already broken. So they go straight away in the garbage bin. And at the moment, about 20% of Thailand's entire solid waste is actually plastic bags. And what we are doing right now, we are actually using polyethylene, which is the most popular form of plastic, which is primarily used for packaging products and plastic bags and these kind of things. This is the raw material we are mainly using for our business to create the oil from. Polyethylene, the PE, which is that is the most popular form of plastic. Other kind of interesting things to look around in Asia is that the current global production for plastic this year is around 300 million tons, which is about the same as the entire humanity weighs together. So that's the amount of plastic that is being generated this year alone. And the plastic production industry is actually the only industry in the world that has been, in a manufacturing sense, has been doubling itself every 15 years. And now, with oil companies such as Exxon and Shell Chemicals, in the last about 5 years, they've invested nearly 200 billion US dollars to create more plastic making factories. So the plastic production globally is set to actually increase about 40% in the next about 5 years. The highlight of this all is actually taking place in Asia. And only in Asia, the plastic consumption is set to grow about 80% during the next 5 to 7 years. And unfortunately, because there's no recycling operations and the infrastructure is not there yet, a lot of this ends into landfills and to the oceans. So these are serious problems that are happening at the moment. And if we look at what's happening in all these tropical locations that we see the screensaver photos, the reality is very different when you go there, as you can see. So, but these are the things. So we are, right now we're dealing with the Thai government, we're dealing with the local authorities, try to come up with systems how we could actually, first of all, make it more efficient for us to receive the plastic waste, so that things are not transported from one place to another without real reason. So, for example, all of our production units are based right next to the largest landfills, so that we can basically just throw the stuff all over the fence without driving it or transporting it long distances. So these are the things that we're doing, and trying to develop more change into a country that is using a lot of plastic and probably one of the biggest waste manufacturing countries in the world in this field. So yeah. Do you have any questions? Anything that came out this one? Anything I can specifically tell you more about? Or?
Yes, I have. So after I saw the MeetUP text, basically what the idea is about.
Sure.
And there was a YouTube video about it, which took place in Thailand. And I could see there the manufacturing plant. But strangely enough, it didn't look like very modern, or the technology wasn't really explained.
Sure.
Is it the same YouTube video that?
Maybe was it the one that was filmed by with a mobile phone, or the actual?
On their website as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they went through, it was about a 10-minute video. Right?
Sure.
They went through and explained everything. You've got to realise as well is that the actual process and the system is pretty secret right now. Because if we tell everyone the process, people might copy it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, the production unit we've had right now has been around for about 4 years, and that would be our 4th generation production unit. We are right now about 2 weeks away from launching our 5th generation unit, which is again much more compact, and I actually have some. I don't know what would be the easiest way to show some photos or videos of that, but what we've been trying to do is to make this thing into as compact and efficient as possible. And we started from the 1st generation unit. Let me try to get the video up here. The 1st generation unit, which was actually for a capacity of 2,000 kilos of plastic per day, producing 1,000 liters of oil. And we're in the 20,000 kilos per day capacity in process. So the technology is actually fairly simple when it comes to that. When it's a production, it's a burning, and then it's a distillery of a sort. It's actually very similar in a way if you would be making moonshine. You would be making what's the proper term in England? In America, they call it moonshine. Yeah, exactly. So basically the similar way. Actually, what they do is they heat up the plastic, and it becomes smoke and gases, and then those smoke and gases are then again cooled down into liquid. So it's a very similar form as you would have a distillery. Here is would be the best. This is actually, you can, if you want to come a little bit closer. There's a video. The one that is behind me there. That is our fifth generation production unit, which is a lot more compact and a little bit more modern and clean. There's less pipes and pots hanging around. So this pyrolysis technology as a system has been around for quite a few years. The problem has been that in most cases the system has been an open or semi-closed, which means that there's been a leak of gases and smoke, which means that it hasn't been really environmentally friendly. Thanks. And in a lot of cases, for example, in China, they have had these problems with the environment. So now what we have developed is the fully enclosed system. And that's something that everybody basically started developing this from the same book. There's a company in Norway, there's a company in Ireland, projects in Africa. They're using the same system, but it's basically like beer making. I'm referring now to alcohol again, but basically anybody could start a distillery. Right? You could start your beer company. The question is, who knows how to make great beer? Who knows how to make it efficiently and it's viable and it actually tastes good? So these are the things that are different. And when we are looking at the moment our technology and we are comparing it to other projects around the world right now, based on the academic community who is reviewing these plans and these events, we are at the moment among the top companies with the highest developed technology. It's not really a technological race. It's not that who has the highest form of technology. That's not really the point. As long as it's efficient and as long as it's environmentally friendly, it's okay.
The raw material is there, right? That's the problem.
Exactly. So there's different companies, there are different groups who are developing this system at the moment, and I hope the technology goes fast and this thing becomes even more efficient and we could actually use more raw material because that's not stopping or it's not there's not a shortage of that anytime soon.
Apparently, just to take this a little bit further, so for the same reason, are you thinking about like licensing your solution, your technology, or not really for this reason? Because that's also, let's say, if there is profitability in it,
sure,
then it's more interest. People are more interested to go with it.
Sure. We've actually looked a few times into patenting some of the parts, but the problem is that you can't really patent the process in general, because what we're talking about the pyrolysis process, which means it's an old term from two Greek words, pyro meaning heat and lysis meaning separation. So basically, if you're making charcoal at home, you're actually doing the pyrolysis process. So we can't patent that. We could potentially patent some parts of the technology, but the moment you file a patent on an office, now it becomes a blueprint for everybody else to do. So that's the problem with patenting things, and this is not really something that we could patent as the entire technology, which means that there would be always a way to somebody to, okay, I'll change this a little bit and I'll do it in this way and this way. So patenting is not really protecting it from anything. And in all honesty, I think this technology is going to evolve a lot in the next coming years. And the more and more there's players coming into the market and actually seeing that, wait a minute, we can actually take this garbage and we can actually do good for the environment for once and actually make money with it. I think there's going to be a lot of research and a lot of money invested in this field. So trying to even really stop that in some way, I don't really think it's the mission. So we'll hold on to what we have and we'll continue our research. And we're actually also looking to sell these production units as a separate, like as a whole factory in itself. And by doing that, we're looking to build a box around it, so there would actually be like two metal cubes that if you would order one of these factories, you would actually receive two metal cubes and you wouldn't really be able to see what's really inside. And in that way, the only way for a buyer, for example, to really research it would be to reverse engineer it, which would take a long time to find out exactly what is this metal and how much pressure is needed here and how much heat is needed here. So we'll do our best, and we'll try to keep it in our hands as long as we can. But eventually, it's going to be all public information, in the same way like as you would start a brewery.
But it exactly is the same way. But then if you can build a branding around it, so at least the buyers or general public knows that you are selling quality.
Exactly.
Just like in Finland, they all know that it's part of the girl that yours is like reliable.
Exactly.
And so then you've been talking to different countries, governments.
Yes.
And then, how is it going? I mean, any successful initiatives, subsidizing or anything like that?
Yes, actually, we were just this morning when we were meeting with the ministry in Finland. They actually said that we are in a very good time for once with one of these innovations. My problem has always in the future been that we've always been 2 steps too early, and it's been like, yeah, okay, that's a good idea, but let's talk again in 5 years. But now it's actually happening, and the European Union just recently made a decision that by 2021, actually 1.5% of all the fuel that is used in the European Union area must come from waste-based sources. So there's a total of about 340 million tons of fuel used in the European Union each year. So in a couple of short years, there's a demand, there's a regulation that forces the member countries to actually use and have this waste-based fuel in distribution. This number is set to grow to 10% of the entire fuel consumption in the European Union by 2030. So this is not something that European Union is just telling people to do or proposing. It's actually going to happen that way. And one of the reasons is that they simply don't have a place to put all the plastic anymore. So they must force these things forward. And for example, we're currently in talks with a company from Finland called Neste, which is the largest producer of biodiesel in the world. About 10 years ago, I and my partners, we actually started investing into palm oil plantations in Thailand. This wasn't back in 2004 or 5. If you remember, first time when people started to talk about biodiesels and palm oil was kind of on the spotlight of becoming the crude for this business. And we started investing, and we started buying land and actually growing rubber trees and oil palms in there. But we always had the how would I say, morale or like a fundamental problem with the whole idea that we're actually taking land that could be used for food crops and actually now making it into the fuel production. And that to me doesn't really make sense. And I think that's that was the big problem from the whole palm oil thing from the get-go. And Neste, they built a huge facility in Singapore about 10 years ago, where they are currently using mainly Malaysian and Thai palm oil as their raw material for their biodiesel. So now the European Union, thankfully, has actually decided that by 2030 they are no longer accepting palm oil as a form of a fuel imported in the European Union. And company like Neste, which is one of the biggest oil companies in Northern Europe, they are actually right now changing their entire strategy from the bio side to look more into the waste management side. And about a month ago they made a big announcement where they actually said that we're looking for partners to work with us in this field and to start developing fuels from waste. And this is one of the reasons why we're talking with them right now and trying to find ways to maybe work together and do something good in that sense.
How was it spelled? Neste?
Neste. Please.
Just what kind of investment do you have, or do you have the investment for your company that you need to scale up? Or do you have a plan for scaling up globally?
We're looking mainly to focus right now in Asia, Thailand being basically our base. One of these production units that can produce this 10,000 liters a day needs an investment of about $2 million. And once it's in operation, the return on investment is roughly about $1 million a year. So it's actually a very, very profitable business as well. And so what we're looking at the moment is we're looking to build, as of right now, first 10 units in Thailand, which will be located outside of the popular tourist destination called Pattaya, which has a horrible situation with trash and plastics. So we have a land which is right next to the largest landfill in that province, where we are planning to put between 5 to 10 of these production units. And from that we're looking to expand to a total of 500 of these units across Southeast Asia. Then we're looking to partner with different companies in different countries that we could basically provide the technology for, and then have a local partner to operate this. And in order for us to do this, we are using two forms of financing. We have a crowdfunding side, where basically we're implementing the cryptocurrency technology and the blockchain technology. People have a lot of different opinions when it comes to cryptocurrencies and bitcoins and so on, but in this kind of a sense, it can actually work as a very good financial vehicle, where basically as a form of a crowdfunding, people can own part of the business by investing through the cryptocurrency platform. So that's one side. And then the other side is basically institutional investors, banks and funds that we're talking at the moment. So this is for the expansion. The current units are being financed by ourselves and the Thai government through the university. Great questions.
Yeah.